I'm gonna start the recording there, and then same as usual, just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Yeah, sure.
Defend objective A.
Healing food! Forward, my
Watching your
friends!
back.
I have found
All right.
the enemy! Forward! Use a strong
My teleporter is online.
Interesting. Were you communicating this with the team? Because they seem to be
Yeah, I
prepared for that.
was.
Oh, we get dome red all the. All right.
Yeah,
So
surprise.
one thing here might be to just let your tanks walk through first, right? So typically when teleporting through to somewhere, if you know that essentially like if you think that you're going to be under pressure, then and you know your whole team's going with you anyways, like why not just wait the extra 2 seconds to let Ryan walk through?
Yeah, gotcha.
Something else to keep in mind is that Hog is still AFK in spawn, so that might be something to pay attention to, right? As
Yeah.
right now we're walking in down a player, so walking down a player, walking up ahead of a Reinhardt, and then that means that now when we TP through, we don't have a big fat shield in front of us, and then that means we just get domed here. One other thing is if you see that there's snipers just staring straight at you, um, there's not much you can do here, but the thing that you can try to do is real quick just turn around and look at the floor. This alters your hitbox, so it is very hard to headshot you, right? Well, whereas we're just staring straight at them, they can just headshot you super easily. But for example, like let's look at like Ana from like a behind perspective. Well, now that head hitbox is a lot more difficult to hit because it's a smaller head hitbox, especially when you look at the floor. So here in this situation, just really quickly turning around and looking down could mean the difference between living and dying because we get body shot instead of headshot, and then we possibly live here, but not a guarantee.
Gotcha.
All right, so Widowmaker just rolls us pretty hard there. Which, to be honest, I mean that's good on her for seeing that was there.
Yeah. So then I changed to Sombra. And then like, screw it, time to get the Widow.
Mhm.
Try berry!
She's pissed me off,
Mhm.
Be right back.
Wait for the team to engage.
Mhm. Oh, okay, finally we drifted upwards. I was waiting like for a second there for us to. I was waiting to see were we aiming ahead, because for a moment there we weren't aiming at the head. I probably would just say like
Yeah.
do that slightly earlier, because like we might want to like
Yeah,
honestly here.
gotcha.
Like this is a situation where you might not even need to wait for the team if you see a free opportunity like this, because if you wait for the team, then Widow might try to rotate. She might drop. She might end up just unscoping, and then she'll be a much harder target to hit. So if you pretty much if you see an opportunity like this where she's just hard scoping, she's not suspecting you, and you can just mow her down with some headshots really really fast, like you could probably melt her here in probably like half a second to 3/4 of a second. So I probably just take that, right? Because you're probably gonna get the kill. So you don't necessarily have to wait for anything in this instance. But good job aiming up at the head level. Very nice. Yep. So you see how fast you absolutely melt her there. So waiting for the team isn't a necessity when you see an opportunity like that.
No, I thought this
Like, I'm learning.
Yeah. Alright, but good job with the headshot. That was good.
Feeling much better.
Oh. Possibly, like, I'd probably say just stay up here on the high ground. I don't think that it was, like, super necessary that we drop. I think we're trying to get the Moira there, but she ends up fading out that way when maybe we thought she was gonna fade to point with her team. So I think we just predicted where she was going to be fading to, and then that's probably why we ended up dropping there. Good fade out, though. Or TP out.
Gotcha. Initiating.
Nice hack. Alright, so far really well played.
Translocating.
The one problem I would say that we're seeing so far is just too fast of pullbacks. Is that
Mm.
we're not in the fight long enough, and then when we keep pulling back and pulling back and pulling back, then we're losing value while we're out of the fight, right? Because you have to think every time that we're out of the fight like this, we're doing nothing, right? So it's equivalent
Yeah.
to when that adds up, it's equivalent to basically being dead. So for example, like at higher levels of play, a team will force Sombra to translocate out, and then they'll immediately engage because team is down a player. They know they're down a player, right? So it's almost not equivalent to, but almost equivalent to like just dying when you're out that much. And then we can, like, if we went through here, we could probably just count how much time we spent out of the fight just by when we TP back, right? So we shoot,
Pobrecita.
and let's see when we TP back. Right,
I'm
so
also not really doing headshots for a lot of this.
yeah.
Beacon
So
in place.
1, 2, 3,
Feeling much
4. Right now we're back in. So 4 seconds.
better.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Gotcha.
5.
Now
All right,
aiding
so
the hack.
9 seconds. I don't know why I didn't just keep counting. And then we immediately back up. That one out of the 3, I'd probably say that one was like the least necessary because we get shot at. Like, let's see, when do we recall out? We get shot at, and we still have 120 HP, and then we recall out of that. So that would definitely probably say that was not necessary to recall out of, especially when we're getting healed. But then again, so that's 9 seconds. 10,
Translocating. Much
11,
better.
So I
12.
probably should have just rotated on the high ground to the right and stayed up there and
Yeah.
just then I can shoot the Rhine and no one can shoot me.
Yeah, something like this, right? Standing up
Yeah.
here. Probably, like you said, probably just be a really good idea. I forget where we were. We was like 12 or something like that. Alright, really nice shots. But yeah, like overall in that fight, it was like kind of like 12 seconds ish, right? Which was
See you later.
kind of unnecessary when we could, like you said, just stand on the high ground, stand off to the side. Don't recall when you still have health, a bunch of health left, right? So just looking to stay in there longer. But right, other than that, really well
Me la
played.
rifé.
And imagine we're looking to go grab the health pack at the moment.
Be right back.
Yeah, hopefully.
So I just want to go hack the health back and then get out.
Good idea.
So stay with my team.
Yeah.
Like engage when they do.
Possibly don't need to recall back there. Like, I just, like, if they're not gonna contest you, then there's no reason to like recall back to your team, and you could just be underneath them, because then that sets you up in a good position to be in already. You can just recloak and go invis, and then you can get up behind them because you want to go for an EMP here. So you probably want to be behind them at the moment.
But this is where things started to go wrong.
Las luces.
All right, so let's see what ends up happening there. So again, probably positioning wise, it would probably be best if we were positioned behind them while EMPing, as that would mean that we're able to actually follow up after we EMP. Here Reiner ends up charging in for some reason, and then he dies, right? But we EMP and notice that we're not really able to capitalize off of anything. Whereas let's say we were like closer, we might have actually been able to do something. But like, notice how we immediately have to back off because we are approaching from the front, and they all see us. We also use translocator there, which meant that now we don't have a get out of jail free card, right? So like, if for example we had a translocator in a safe place and we just kind of walked up behind them and EMP'd, well, now we can maybe immediately follow up with actual damage, and then that might allow us to do something.
Waiting for hack to come back. There we go.
Yep.
And our hog decides to ult the hacked. Anyway,
Iniciando.
that's okay.
Right, so here we throw a translocator, and I think it
And I
misses.
missed it. Yeah.
I probably say you should have just gone to the translocator and then been on high ground. That probably would be a good place to be at the moment, that you can just hack super easily from. So like, honestly, I just take it and use it to get up top. Also, make sure you're just careful. I think that was something we talked about last time, but like, if you know you're probably not gonna get a hack off, don't try to get the hack off. So like, when Monkey's like inside
yeah.
of his bubble, right? Like, we know that it's probably gonna cancel, so like, don't keep trying to hack over and over and over again. And then we also do see an opportunity here to hack a primaling monkey, and we don't go for it. Like right here, where we probably could go for a hack on the monkey, and we just kind of let him pass us by, when probably would be a really good hack to go for and like just cancel his ultimate pretty much. Oh, okay. Here, noting that we're going aggressive and we don't have a translocator to get out with, we don't have that active, and then we're also being a little bit over aggressive, like just kind of like look at our current positioning, just a little bit in there, and then that results in us dying. We just get booped into a rocket. Right, so couple tiny things there. Take high ground, hack the monkey. Don't try to hack him over and over again when he's inside his bubble. Make sure we're not getting too over aggressive when we don't have translocator. And then even if we did have translocator there, that was still maybe a little too over aggressive. Where maybe we should approach from more of like a side angle, or maybe play a little bit more passive. So again, we can stay in there longer.
I might need this later. Hey there.
Oh, close. I think you actually would have had him there, but his takeoff damage stopped it. I'm not sure if you're aware. I'm not
He
not.
has takeoff damage?
It's. I'm pretty sure it's literally 1 HP worth of damage.
Oh no.
So
No.
you can. I'm pretty sure you can kill somebody just by jumping away, theoretically. But I think it's a very rarity, a very very big rarity. But you can see here like how the only thing that damages you is the fact that he leaps. You see that? Oh, 1 HP of damage.
Jesus.
So that's pretty funny actually. I haven't seen that ever like do anything.
It just must be just for Sombra.
Don't mind me.
So the problem here, the Widow switched to Farah, and no one really countered her. Like, I was getting a decent amount of value as Sombra, and so I was hesitant to switch.
Mhm.
But the Farah was cleaning up.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that you necessarily need a counter to her when, especially like if she doesn't have a mercy. If she doesn't have a mercy, then she's not gonna really have it. But like here, they're running Ana Moira. They're not gonna have anything to help their Farah, right? So we can all tickle her and she's dead. So just do what you just did. Continue to hack her and whatnot. Oh, whoopsie! Didn't mean to do that. I meant to press back 5 seconds. That's what I meant to do. Alright, so here we kind of walk into the shadow, so just being careful of that. Like if you're... Yeah, so here we just kind of walk into it, unfortunately. Nice EMP.
See you later.
Yeah, problem was TP, or TP was way too far back. Right, so I guess let's reanalyze this a little bit. So first off, I'd probably replace TP. We can just cancel and replace it closer to the fight. That way we can actually participate. Second thing I might say, we actually don't see her because it's, dang it. Never mind, this is information. Sometimes I accidentally do that, but I go off of information I see through the walls and instead of information you can actually see. So we couldn't actually see the Ana going on the floor there, but we could see her like right there. But I don't blame you too much for not seeing her there.
I'm on fire.
But yeah, we just kind of are forced out of the fight there. Was a big problem, and then again we're like out of the fight for a really long time. Then right now this is pretty much lost, so we're probably looking to disengage soon. Yeah.
Be right back.
Right. Just in that last fight, looking to pressure Farah a little bit more, pay attention to her, because if we, look at her and shoot at her, then she doesn't do nearly as much, because she just takes pressure, and then she has to back off because she doesn't have healing.
I'm out of here.
It's like here, for example, potentially you can just translocate up and get aggressive into the Farah. All you have to do if she pressures you backwards is just drop to your team and then you're good. You potentially can get the hack off if she's not paying attention, and then you can like at the very minimum you just force her to back up, which just creates pressure and gets them away from you. But then you can possibly end up getting the kill there again because she doesn't have very much healing for herself. I don't know if that's a great translocator spot. Again, make sure the translocators, like you want to be maximizing the time that you're in fights, because when you're not, then you end up spending a lot of time outside of the fights. So we want to make sure that we're placing translocators near fights, because if you are in the middle of fighting a fight and then all of a sudden you have to be out of the fight, well, now that's like bad for you and your team. Then besides that, making sure we're not translocating out for every tiny little thing, and looking to stay alive in fights and not need to translocate out if at all possible. Right? Don't waste time shooting at a bubble if you know that you're going to. That's just use that time to reload if you know that you're going to just walk past it anyways. Who did we hack Monkey there, or who do you hack?
I think I hacked the monkey. I think.
Can't even see it through people. Yeah, okay, so I did. I think we did. Yeah, we did.
Mucho mejor. I might need this
Not a
later.
high priority breaking bubble. Don't waste your time on it. Right? Like if it's taking you out of the fight and wasting time where you could be shooting at people, it's not really a big priority for you to be shooting a bubble. Right? You only ever need to worry about breaking that bubble if there's nothing else to do. But there is
Yeah.
other things to do. Alright, don't know why she brushed, but that's good for us.
Be right back.
For red fireworks, use a strontium compound. Green, try berry.
Okay, at the moment probably set up behind them. Right? So here,
Hey there.
okay, if you had to pick where would the best possible place to be, right? What place would it be best for us to be to get an EMP off? Because we're going for EMP here, right? We know we're going for EMP. What would be like if you could be anywhere here, where would you
Um,
where would you want to be?
so for here, they're not grouped up enough would be my issue. However, I could potentially, if I had to EMP at this very moment, I'd go for the Moira and the Winston. So I'd be probably just slightly behind the Winston because I might get the Farah as well.
Where are
But
they
yeah,
where are they likely to group up? Do we think that it's more
on point.
likely? Yeah, okay, on point. So let's assume that they're going to back up and go to point. Where would we want to set up at? Because we don't want to just have whenever we're EMPing. The problem is that we're EMPing with the mindset of I'm just going to run in with my team and then EMP, right? Which is not what your mindset should be, right? Because if we try to
Gotcha.
run in with our team and get off EMP, well then we have to waste a translocator. We have to we might have to waste a cloak. We probably are like have the possibility to just take up a whole bunch of extra damage and possibility to get stunned a lot easier, and we're going to have a harder time getting it off. Right. So I probably would recommend not trying to just run in with your team when you have the option to. You want to set up for it and be prepared for it. That way you have the best possible EMP spot and you're ready for it, and it's not just kind of a we're doing it right now, right? We're running in and then it doesn't really do as much as it could have. So if you were to pre-set up for this, where would you want to be at?
Probably on point just to the side of the Rhine. So if we're looking at the Rhine from this angle, yeah, it'll be around here, I would say.
Okay.
Because then you could uncloak, you could step forward and EMP. The only problem is the Ana, but I'd say relatively low risk at my rank.
Yeah. I would probably say that your best EMP setup spot would be to come from high ground. Right?
Gotcha.
If all you have to do here is you can set up just place a translocator up here, jump off the edge, right? Get a high ground area. This is going to make it harder for those Ana players. If you do get up to a higher rank, or if the Ana just hits a lucky sleep, it's going to be harder for you to get stunned if you're up here. This is also going to cover more ground, get more people, possibility to get, just to see more angles. Like, for example, think for example, right, like look at this line of sight from here to there and here to there, where if we were down here, well now we don't get those people EMP'd, right? If
Yeah,
anybody's
gotcha.
standing there, right? So it gives us more angles, gets more things, makes it harder for them to get us, and then it gives us a high ground to just immediately once we're forced that back. All we have to do is just translocate back immediately after EMPing, and then we're just immediately shooting them from the high ground, right? So I would probably be pre-setting up to here. If we cannot get up to there, then I would probably say you're right. Like just coming in from here is just perfectly fine, and then that's gonna be like your second best option. But it's probably the worst option would be to just go in down lane, right? Just because we're gonna end up getting decloaked. We're gonna be forced to use extra abilities. We're gonna take extra damage.
And so I did that to get the Winston and get because he was stuck there to the right. And so I thought if we get the Winston and we put pressure on the Ryan and all these other people, we should be okay.
So yeah, so we're looking to catch the people out who are up here. What do we do just with hack? What do we just hack there?
We hacked the Winston.
Okay. So we just hacked Winston a couple seconds ago, and then it was gonna hack out gonna stop in a second. So we wanted to keep him there. All right, so Farah gets us. What could we have done in that situation to not die to Farah or to put more pressure on her?
Probably should have realized the Farah was going to be there, so that's probably game awareness because she was there last time. So
And she does, like, as you said, she is continuously putting a lot of pressure on you guys, and she's getting a lot of value. And every fight, it seems as though we only ever look at her after she starts shooting at us, right? Do you think that's accurate? Um, and then
yeah,
therefore we don't end up pressuring her, and she just gets free reign because on our team, Reaper's not going to do a whole lot to her. Lucio's not going to do a whole lot to her. Reinhardt's not going to do a whole lot to her. So the three people who can do things to her are going to be Roadhog, us, and Anna, who all of which can like do a decent bit to her, but we're not like awesome against Farah, right? But if we're not doing anything against Farah, well, now that's just leaving it to Anna and Roadhog, right? And we're not getting any value. So make sure we're paying attention to her, because here we could possibly go for a hack on her. We could shoot at her, pressure her back. We also have Translocator that we just don't use, right? Like we have the option to translocate out, and we don't take it. And then again, noting that the Translocator is also like on the other side of the map. So like if we did translocate out, we would be out of the fight for a really long time. So noting a couple things there. So translocate out, and then make sure putting pressure on Farah and looking at her, because then she just runs around in your back line and doesn't have any pressure. And if we feel like we do need to swap to like a different character, which I don't think you necessarily need to, then just do that. And good high grounds.
I might need this later.
and that was, I don't know what I was doing there. Let's just not talk about that translocator.
So here, whenever you translocate somewhere, like here we're looking at just before we drop, we want to look to place a translocator up here. That way we can just translocate back up the moment we want to, right? So we want to always the kind of ability rotation or the rhythm you're trying to get into is place translocator somewhere good, go in, shoot, get back, place a translocator, and then do it again, right? It's just a circle. Here we just skip this step where we place translocator down again, and then therefore we don't have that to get back up to high ground.
I might need this later.
30 seconds remaining.
Jean, we're almost out of time. No slacking now.
I think at this point, I decided the team had lost it, so
Yep.
I'm figuring out what to do
See you later.
because we've got 15 seconds and I want to engage with the team.
10 seconds remaining.
Yep.
¿Extrañaste?
Okay. Let's go back a little bit. So, couple things. So, first off, noting that we uncloak with 6 seconds left when our team's not necessarily like here. If at all possible, so it's very minor. It's not gonna make a major difference, but just wait till like 1 second left before you're uncloaking. That way you are able to touch at the very last second and have those extra seconds to be safe and let your team respawn and whatnot. Besides that, we uncloak and then just don't do anything. We don't shoot or do anything when we are like right next to them. So it might be better that we like uncloak and start shooting at people. All right.
Ready for battle.
So now this is sim defense. So firstly, is that a good place to put some turrets to begin with?
Let's take a look. So when we place turrets, we're looking for, again, longevity. We want them to stay alive as long as possible, because when we do that, that means that they're able to do things as much. We're able to get maximum damage, do as much as we possibly can with them. And then when they instantly get destroyed, they don't really do a whole bunch. So let's just give it a go. Let's see, how long do those turrets last for? Real quick. And
Not
then,
long.
And then we'll continue. Yeah.
Attackers.
I'm thinking though, like this is like I'll get them back by the time the team fight starts, so like I can place them again.
So first off, right, like
One.
that's not gonna be, they're pretty long, and we only place them like at the last 5 seconds. That's true if we
Ready
just got
for
here
battle.
sooner. I think we placed them sooner, because we hang out. Yeah, we're
One
just,
life
I
to
guess, a
begin.
little bit slow on getting them up, and then that means that we don't really have them by the
Three,
time, right? Because we only have
two,
one and a
one.
half by the time they're
Attackers
destroyed,
incoming.
right? In
Defend
any case,
objective
right?
A.
First off, we're looking for longevity. The second thing we're looking for is to have them, creating a crossfire effect. Almost always when we place a turret, it's looking to be from behind them, right? We want the turret to be shooting them from the back, and preferably that's happening when your team is shooting them from the front. What happens if the turrets are shooting them in the back and your team is not shooting at them from the front?
Then they just turn around and kill them.
Okay, so in this position, if we're assuming that they're just walking up here, those turrets are going to start shooting at them, right? When those turrets start shooting at them, do they like really? Is our team really able to put equal pressure on them, or is it going to be pretty easy for them to just destroy it and then keep walking?
Be pretty easy.
Pretty easy to just destroy and keep walking. So we want it to be a pressure, and we want to make it difficult for them to choose. Do we turn around and look at turrets? Do we look at the team? And if they turn around and look at the turrets, then they're wasting time while our team's melting them from the front, right? So that's what you call a crossfire effect, where where they're confused. What do we look at? Do we shield turrets? Do we shield team? Yada yada. Right? I'd probably say that like the best place that you could put them would be probably to line them along somewhere along this, right? So maybe like here and here, and maybe like along this top. That means that like if anybody were to walk past it, like going right side, it'd get them. If they go left side, then they end up getting hit by a little bit. And by this point, you're a little bit closer to the team here, and you are going to be able to. It's going to slow them down while they're in the most dangerous spot, and therefore make it easier for your team to shoot at them, and just also confuse them again where like they're not sure, do we look at team, do we look at that, right? So I'll probably say like lining it along somewhere along these edges would be best. And then the second one we go for, like, would probably just be like after they go to the right side, just have them set up on this side of the wall. But I would just say that spot just makes it very easy for them to get destroyed. Max charge those shots. That's how you want to do that.
The thinking here was for the Farah, because I saw they've got a Farah, so I thought if she comes forward of the wall, then the turrets can get her.
Okay. I think we're misunderstanding our beam range a little bit there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know how we can just tell that very easily in game,
No.
right? When you damage somebody, you will see a hit marker. So when we are
Hmm.
damaging here, right? Look, it doesn't show it when I pause for some reason, but we'll look at the white markers right next to your crosshair, right? That does not show up when you are not damaging, right? So here, when we're beaming at people and we don't see that, we're not damaging. You also hear when you're doing damage. You will see when you're doing damage. You'll probably, there's a lot of ways to recognize that we're doing damage. Just make sure we're paying attention to that, because here it would be better that we just don't shoot or reload than to just keep shooting when we're not within range, right?
Hmm.
And then it's also just understanding our range, because our range is, I believe, like 15 meters ish or something like that, possibly. So we want to make sure we're just understanding that range and staying within it. Okay.
So here I put the turrets. Yeah, it's not a good spot.
Yeah. Where are we gonna be holding in this room, or are we gonna be holding over
No.
here? All right. So
Yeah, so I thought the hog was still alive, but I was wrong.
yeah. So just being aware of our hog there. And then we place the other one in there too, and then they immediately go down, right? Again, noting that like all of our turrets so far just immediately gotten destroyed. And noting again that we're holding it down when we can't see him or shoot at him, so we hold it down here when we're not even looking at him. And then that means that we don't have it for when we do see him. Okay. We're melting people. Alright, very nice.
The dragon's fire
Oh,
burns within me.
nice 4K. Alright, very good. You still have that TP
I
up? Yeah.
placed turrets. I don't think I have placed turrets there, so that would be.
यही परम वास्तविकता है
So this is, I did it early because I thought my team probably hasn't got back yet, and I just want to,
Stall for time is your idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like my team is back.
Yeah. I don't think it's a terrible idea. Maybe it's not like a ton of value. We also kind of suicide there to get a kill.
Yeah.
Make sure we're not suiciding to get a kill, and then also noting that we're not really giving Farah very much attention again. Whereas here we're not gonna be able to actually look at her, but we just don't really look at her at all. And like I said, we suicide into the Zenyatta, make sure we're not suiciding to get a kill. Right? It's never gonna be of value.
Sentry ward in place.
Strontium compound. Green, try berry.
And so now what do I change to? I think soldier, yeah. There we go. Because of
So
the Farah.
little bit of a delayed swap, right? Like probably want to be making that decision a lot earlier, so that way we have time to reposition. Because where would be the best spot to be standing at the moment?
I would say possibly on the left side.
So like here.
So potentially going on a flank around as the Rhine pushed in. It'd depend. Like what I'd be looking for is where's the Farah coming from.
Yeah, I would probably say that you'd be best off hanging around, like you said, this side of the map, but probably either on this high ground or running around like one of these high grounds. So we can like be on that high ground, or we can be on this high ground and be shooting at them from up from the side and above. Or if we wanted to, we can just be chilling around over here. There's a lot of tiny little hidden spots. Like you can stand right here where like nobody can really see you. You can stand on this ledge. You can stand right here that no one seems to know about. And then you
So
can get a kill.
how do I get up to that first high ground you mentioned?
This right
So
here.
yeah,
Yeah, you
a
can
soldier.
climb around. So here you can climb up this, right? Just
Yeah.
jump up, right? Climb up this, right? This. You climb up this little corner, right? You can stand right up here. You just jump up on this thing, right? And then from here, any character in the game can do this parkour. You can just leap across up to this high ground.
Oh my god.
Yep. So any character in the game can get up to this high ground.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep, and then from here as well, you can, like I said, you can wrap around and like hide here. You can stand here. If for whatever reason you wanted to, you can do parkour and stand over on this thing. You can stand on this thing. You can stand on any of these ledges over here. You have the option. I like this one's a fun one. You can from this high ground, you can leap. Again, I believe it's any character in the game can just leap from this to over here. Though it's a little bit of a hard jump. You have to time it right. So you can leap from there to there. Then from here you can just leap up to this high ground, and then you can stand right here in this corner and just like wait for people to walk through from the side. This is an easy way to like catch flankers off guard. So like if for example you thought Farah would come through here, it's a good way to do that. So just a bunch of different options for you, and then that's why you like obviously just from the multitude of options I just gave you, that's why you want to be standing over there.
Gotcha.
All right. We talked about target priority.
So I should have been going for the Zen.
What do you think? Like, if you had to put like a no, I don't know. How do I ask this or talk about it? If you were to put like a percentage on like who you were shooting at during this game, let's just say do it by roles, right? Like just by roles, right? Like if you were to put a percentage on who were you shooting at, what percentage of the time. So for example, let's say you thought you were shooting at the DPS 50% of the time, the supports 40% of the time, and the tanks 10% of the time. Just throwing out numbers, right? What do you think that would be for you, right? Like during this game, how often you shoot at each role?
So I think for Sombra I should be shooting at the tanks for all charge. For Sim I should charge up kind of on the tanks and take out the support once I'm charged. And for Soldier I should be going for off angles and squishies, not the tanks.
Do you get more ult charge off of a Reinhardt or a Zenyatta?
So I think maybe with the armor, I might get less. Is that right?
Armor does not affect ult charge.
All right.
Mhm.
But I do less damage, so I'd get less ult charge. Is that right or no?
That's actually a good point. I think, yeah, like if you're talking about, like, his damage is directly correlated to ult charge, right? So, yes, you are correct. If you're damaging armor, you're technically getting a little bit less ult charge. I wouldn't say it's like a very big difference. I would say that, like, if anything, it's like a 1% difference. So, you're probably not going to find a very major difference between the two.
Gotcha.
Okay, so like that back to the question, right? Like, are you going to find more? Are you going to get more ult charge out of shooting at a Zenyatta or shooting at a Reinhardt?
Um, well, I think the Zenyatta's definitely higher value. The Zen's right there. He's got no shield. He's in the open.
Yeah, we're talking about ult charge, right? Are you
Ah,
gonna?
okay.
Yeah, are you gonna? So like for Sombra, right? Let's talk Sombra, right? You're saying you want to farm tanks to get ult charge. Are you gonna get more ult charge by farming tanks or by farming the Zenyatta?
Um, Usually tanks because you can. I mean, it's situational because like if the Zen's an opportunity, you want to go for the Zen. But normally, getting the Zen, you'll get the whole team turn on you. Whereas going for the tank, you can shoot at the tank without anyone shooting at you.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I would the answer to that question, I would probably say is that there's realistically not going to be very much of a difference between the two, right? You're
Gotcha.
going to not find you're not like when you go and shoot at a Zenyatta, right? Tanks the only difference between the two is that tanks have more HP for you to farm. But if you were to kill like, for example, shoot at the Zenyatta and kill him and then move on to somebody else, that's not going to be too much different from just shooting at a tank, right? So you're not going to really get more ult charge off of the tanks, and the sole purpose of Sombra is to not just get an ultimate, because that's not all of what Sombra is based around. That's like, for example, I'd say the same mindset that some like Genji players will get into is like, I only exist for Blade. Sombra does not only
Yeah.
exist for her EMP, and Genji does not only exist for Blade. And if you're playing like that, you're going to be missing out on, like 60% of your gameplay because
Gotcha.
that other major portion of your gameplay is not you ulting, right? Sorry, let's say even like 80% of your gameplay, right? Because you're
Yeah,
only
gotcha.
ulting for such a tiny little portion of the game. So therefore, I'd probably say go for the right targets, even if you're going to technically get like a little bit more ult charge off of farming tanks. It's going to be a little bit easier. You probably still want to go for the supports because going for the supports and the DPS, right, going for a Zenyatta draws their attention behind you, act as a distraction, right? Like
Mm,
I said before, it's a crossfire effect. They like when you go in and shoot at the Zenyatta, it's a good thing that their team looks at you because now
mm,
your team gets to walk forward and take free space. When we shoot at the Zenyatta, they have to turn around and they have to decide. Let's say for example, right, they're on us to decide: do I heal tanks or do I heal Zen? And then meanwhile, if she turns on the heal Zenyatta, your team's shredding their tanks. Their tanks
gotcha.
have to choose: do we peel back and help the Zenyatta, or do we hold down main? And this is always because it's not properly communicated, even at professional levels of play, it's always going to result in a loss of value, right? Because you're never going to perfectly communicate, you do this, you do that instantaneously, right? So
Gotcha.
therefore, you're going to find value out of that, right? So let's get back to the main point, right? Of like, have we talked about target priority before in depth?
Yeah, we have.
Yep.
We have.
So DPS and supports are like kind of what you want to be shooting at. So on their team, what would your priority order be? Who is the easiest to kill versus who is the hardest to kill on their team?
I would say probably Zen is the easiest.
Hmm?
And then um, situationally, Farah, Anna, and Ash.
I'd probably say that Farah is going to probably, if she doesn't have a Mercy with her, probably is going to be easier than Ana and Ash. So I'd probably put especially like the other thing to keep in mind when you're making this priority list, because I did say who is the easiest to kill, but the other thing you have to keep in mind when you're going through this priority list is sometimes people just have a higher priority even if they're not based off of the value they get. You said
Yeah, gotcha.
Farah's getting a lot of value this game, correct? Right? She has 2 kills
So
in the kill leader
probably
now. right?
Yeah, so probably Farah's the highest priority then.
Yeah, so Farah might gain more value, or a higher priority just because she's doing a lot, or she's who we should be focusing. Like, let's say here we have a McCree, but we're one of the only people who can effectively shoot at Farah, right? So
Yeah,
if we're one of the only people who can effectively shoot at Farah, then we might have a higher priority on Farah. So like you said, I'd probably say Farah and Zenyatta would be around the equal with each other. Of like Zenyatta's easier to kill, but Farah's the higher priority, right? So
gotcha.
Farah and Zenyatta, right, and then maybe Ana and Ash, and then Ryan and Monkey. It would be like your 3 different tiers, right, of people to shoot at. Now, getting back to what I said earlier, if you were to put a percentage on who we shot at this game, what would you say that percentage would look like?
Probably 80% tanks.
80% things, right? I would agree with that. It was like maybe like I wouldn't say 80%, more maybe more like 70% or so, right? Which is still very very high. When, as we just discussed, the tanks are the lowest on our priority list, right? Tanks are going to be who, yes, we're getting old charge, but we don't play the game to get old charge, right? We play the game to win the game, right? And to win the game, right, you need to be getting ults, yes, but you also need to be getting kills, and you need to be getting value. So tanks could be who we hack, because tanks are getting a lot of value out of hack, but they're not who we shoot at the entire time. So
Mm.
in terms of playstyle, I'd highly recommend go for the backline more often. Play on flanks, play on off angles, right? That's how you get to the backline instantly. On Sombra, all you have to do to get there is just translocate it back, right? You can just really easily just pop up on the Zenyatta from behind, and Zenyatta can't really do anything against you, right? Because, and then that forces his team to turn around. By that point, he could probably be dead. Play safe about it, because again, you want to be behind them as long as possible. If you're playing safe about it, using cover, playing on health packs, playing from high grounds, then you're gonna be able to stay alive pretty long, and then entire time while you're shooting at them, right? So overall, we didn't get a lot of kills outside of like our AMP. Like, we didn't get a lot of
Mm.
value outside of our hacks and our AMPs. We didn't really secure many kills, right? And then therefore we missed out on a whole heck of a lot of value, because we weren't getting kills, and therefore we're missing out on one of the main core fundamentals of our kit on DPS to get kills, right? Here as well, noting that we're coming out, right, and the first thing we're looking at are the tanks, instead of going for, again, like positioning wise, taking an off angle. And one thing here, like, as well, is that you can just very easily on soldier as well. Wait, and I think this is just another way you can do this, is just you can leap from here to here, and then you can leap across from here to there. And I'm pretty sure, again, you can do that on any character in the game, right?
Mm.
So just be on left side, you can shoot at them from the side. Have we talked about like off angling and how that works before?
Yeah, we
Right.
have.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we've talked about off angling. You get the idea, but then we're focusing Monkey first thing. We're focusing Bubble, Monkey, right? Now we're on Zenyatta. That's good, right? And we get the kill so fast, right?
Yeah.
Just look at the difference between that and like the rest of the game, where we're focusing Monkey and Ryan the entire time and like are struggling to do anything, right? Versus that we look at Zenyatta for half a second and he's dead. Helix to finish her off, and then I think that's about game. Yeah. Hmm. Alright, not a lot we gotta do there. Alright, so that's about it there. We can hop into that other one for just a little bit here.
Ready for battle. Ready for battle. 3, 2.
Actually, can we go to point 3 for this one? Because I think
Yeah.
we steamroll them at the beginning.
Objective A.
Keep going a little bit more.
Oh, is this a quick link?
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So kind of like, so the reason why I think here, I'm trying to remember if it's this game, but they start to really try and focus me.
Okay. So like kind of how to handle being focused.
Greetings. Ahorita regreso. He
Alright.
vuelto.
So we hack health pack, that's good. Probably look to get up the high ground soon here.
I was trying to get a hack on the Sigma so we can push in.
I would just look to just peek out and hack them. We just kind of sat around a little bit there.
Damn it.
Why does it sound like the sounds are muffled?
Here I am.
I don't know.
Place. I'm out
I don't
of
hear
here.
people shooting. That's weird. Like I don't hear the gunshot sounds. I might have to like reload the VOD or something. But do you notice
I'm
that?
out of here.
Like you can't hear the gunshots. That's wonky.
It's strange.
Coalescence is
Yeah. Okay. That's actually weird. You can't hear the gunshot sounds. Oh, now you can hear Sombra.
I'm gonna have to shoot you down.
But like Diva, you can't hear it either. Oh, that's so wonky. All right.
I wouldn't worry about it. Don't
Yeah,
worry about
it's
it.
not too big of a deal. Sorry, getting a little bit distracted. All right. So we look at Diva and we hack her. All right. So Diva pressures us off, noting that we don't have a translocator already set up to get away with. Making sure when we're engaging that we kind of have that ready. Requesting healing before we're going back up top because we're peaking when we're 86 HP, right?
Enemy turret.
And then therefore, because we go back up without HP, we end
Yeah.
up getting melted by turret, right? So watching our health bar, requesting healing, don't go back up and get aggressive when you're that low HP.
It appears we have suffered a minor setback.
I might need this later.
At the moment, like we're just make sure there's not too much downtime like in between fights when we could just be farming up BMP. So like here, right, like just think of all this wasted time, right? Like so let's say like from here on out, because we're just kind of chilling now, right? Like here we could just push up and just shoot at Sigma, and then that's farming EMP, and then maybe that we're at right now we're at 75. We could be getting our EMP for next fight, right? So that's ready for this next fight. But then we waste 5 seconds, 10 seconds, right? From then we run around again. So like we just kind of waste 10 seconds there. We could have been shooting and doing things ish. Right, I like that replacement. That's a good idea.
What I was trying to do is get a hack on the Sigma.
Which is a good idea.
Much better.
But just in the meantime, just farming up AMP because we have AMP now. That's good. Wouldn't run.
Ahorita regreso. I'm out of here. Apagando las luces. Fire at will.
Yeah. Be slightly careful about getting this aggressive because we're like, you have to keep in mind you didn't have translocator there, and we're just kind of like running into them, noting that we don't have good cover usage at the moment. We're just kind of
And
standing
I'm
on the open,
antied.
right? And we're antied in comparison to like, let's just say for example, we can do the exact same stuff from here, right? We can shoot at the
Yeah,
same
gotcha.
people, do the same stuff, but have cover and be inside of our team, right? And then also, if you want to get unantied, just the translocator, going to your translocator is going to unanti you. So maybe we could just toss the translocator and TP, and then now we're unantied. Accidentally hacked the wrong thing there. Have you adjusted your hack sensitivity? We talked about that yet?
Yeah, I have.
Right, so there, okay, there we're just looking at her. That's fine. So just pay attention.
I think she jumped in front. Yeah, there.
Alright. Don't swap targets mid looking at. Okay, so here are a couple things. So first off, we see Junkrat and we don't pay attention to Junkrat that's in there. So we walk into a Junkrat, awareness, right, paying attention. Secondly, we swap from Sigma, who is like 1 HP, to the Torbjorn instead of finishing off Sigma, right, who's 1 HP, right, and then
Yeah,
therefore
gotcha.
they stay alive a little bit longer, and then we die to Junkrat because we're not paying attention, right. All right, so we actually have to leave here, so we're gonna go over main points, do a quick review, and then wrap up from there. So let us see.
Particularly, can you focus on Soldier?
On main points of Soldier?
Yeah, because that's, I think, the one where I've got the least experience.
Well, yeah, with Soldier, we were only on him for like
We're all soldiers.
20 seconds, so we didn't really talk about a ton.
Yeah, good
Right,
point.
like, if you recall, like the main points is really when we're going over like what did we talk about this session and like what do you want to work on. So if we only went over Soldier for like 20
Okay.
seconds, then there's not really much to work on for him.
Fair enough.
So just make sure that we're taking the left side on that one map and taking high grounds, right? And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, gotcha.
So on Sarma, right? I mean, if you want to, you have another session here, so like feel free to pick up some Soldier ones as well.
Well, just a quick question for Soldier. Well, two quick questions. I struggle to get value from his ult and from Helix rockets.
Yeah, so Helix rockets, mainly act as a finisher, right? You use it to finish
Gotcha.
people off, right? So we go 1, 2, right? Oh, helix, and then they just blow up, right? The value that you get out of this is the fact that they are, when you burst someone's health down, they're unable to do anything, right? They can't get heals, they can't run away, they can't use abilities, they can't, kill you, they can't get team support, they can't use tanking abilities or anything, right? So when you burst someone
So,
down, they stay dead. Good.
so literally 2 headshots and then helix rockets.
Yep, or a couple body shots, yeah. So the Helix Rocket does 120 damage. So that means that you could do 2 headshots, or let's see, we could probably do like 1 headshot and like 2 body shots does the same thing. Because just keep in mind that headshots are like basically 2 times a body shot. So we could do 4 body shots and do the same thing, right? So what that looks like when you're playing is you're going to come in and you're going to shoot at somebody and it's going to look like this, and they're dead. Right.
Gotcha.
So you want to burst them down because otherwise they just get away. Like if you helix first, right, that means that they have that time to react and to do all those things we just discussed, right? Like Moira has that time to fade, for example. But if you're at a range, well, now you probably want to helix first because helix, if you use it as the finisher, right, we shoot them 1, 2, and then it just takes a mile, so long to get to them, right? So instead, what we want to do is we want to helix first, and then by the time the helix reaches them, we've just bursted them down already, right? So then visor, make sure you're off angling and taking high grounds and whatnot. Visor when they're out in the open and they can't run away from you. And then besides that, I kind of have to see like how you're using visor to know what you're doing wrong with it. Is there any particular questions you had about it, like specific questions or?
Yeah, I tend to just not kill anyone and then I tend to get killed.
Okay, then that means you're something's wrong. Pay attention to the reason why you're dying, right? Think, why am I dying when I'm visoring? Did we talk about, ever talk about survivability and just the things that kill you?
You talked about it was the mistakes. So there was like mechanics, awareness, positioning. I think there was something else.
Yeah.
Cooldown usage.
It was mechanics wasn't one of them, but you have the other 3, right? And then the 4th one is just over aggression, running to them, right? So identify what is the reason why I'm dying with Invisor, because it could be a lot of different things, right? It could be a combination of them or anything like that. And then when getting kills, make sure you're not random, you're swapping between too many people. Make sure that you are still using Helix while you're visoring. And then besides that, again, I kind of have to watch your gameplay to see particularly what's up. So, if you want to do that for the next one, feel free to do that, and we'll take a look at Soldier. But real quick, because we are running out of time here, we'll just real quickly wrap up with Sombra, go over the main points. So, ability usage. Probably not super high, probably say it's like a medium priority, some work you could do with it. Ultimate, honestly not a whole lot that's wrong with it. Maybe it's just pretty much our setup for how we're ulting versus how we're actually ulting. I think Earl a lot of times was fine. We got a lot of people in them. They were pretty big. We didn't hold on to it. We didn't use them at bad times. So overall, pretty low. I'll put that a low priority for your ult usage. Mechanics, making sure mechanics is a big thing. Particularly the biggest one just being target priority. That one you could just pretty much call this category target priority. But then besides that, just make sure we're practicing at general mechanics, aiming ahead level, shooting at the right things, right? Shoot at the highest priority things. Shoot at the easiest things to kill. Don't spend your whole game shooting at the bad things, right? And then overall that one probably goes to a medium high priority, right? Positioning, make sure we're taking off angles, make sure we're going behind them, making sure we're taking flanks on characters that can flank. Sombra is a very flanky character because she has invisibility and she has super speed, right? So go behind them and they also have a translocator to get out. So if you recall when we talked about the flanking, right? Flanks are long and or dangerous. They're not dangerous for Sombra because she can just translocate out, and they're not long because she has super speed, right? So Sombra can do that. Soldier can go for flanky stuff too. Make sure we're taking high grounds. Make sure we're getting behind people. I already said that. Use good cover usage. Don't come from the front all the time. And then that's pretty much it, right? Those are kind of the main things. And then overall, that probably goes to a medium priority, maybe a medium high. Yeah, probably we'll put that one at a medium high too, though I think it's below the other one. And then finally, awareness, paying attention to your health bar, requesting healing when we're low, translocating out when we're low. making sure we're just paying attention to all the different things. Teammates, enemy team, health bars, who should we be shooting at, just what's going on around you. And then overall, that one probably goes to like a medium, but like on the lower end of the medium spectrum. And then let's just put that in order real quick. Number
I'm out of
1
here.
was
Be
mechanics.
right back.
Number 2, particularly the target priority. Number 2 is positioning. 3 was probably ability usage. 4 was going to be your awareness, and then 5 is your ultimate usage. You got any questions about anything else in general?
No, that's it. Thanks.
All
That was
right.
really good.
So then let me stop